G'day guys and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, we are back with rugby league action. Boy am I excited for this weekend. So if you have been living under a rock and you're unaware, it is the pre-season challenge. I am super keen for this. We've seen the team list. They came out today. So yes, at the time of recording this, it is Team List Tuesday. This will drop on Wednesday at some time. I don't know what time yet, but let's go through with my preseason challenge week 1 tips. I'm very excited for this, guys. So let's jump in. Game 1 sees the Bulldogs against the Melbourne Storm. Should be a very good game of footy. This is on Thursday night. So both sides they've named decent squads. Like the Bulldogs squad, arguably better than the Storm squad. Like outside of Ryan Pappenhausen, the Bulldogs have quite a good spine. Blake Taff at fullback, Matt Burton and Drew Hutchison in the halves, and Reid Marnie at dummy half. So pretty good spine there. Whereas the Storm have gone Pappenhausen, Keegan Russell-Smith, Pizzette, and Bronson Garlick as their spine. So the Bulldogs definitely have the upper hand there in the spine. But yeah, very excited for this one. Should be a cracker. Now, both sides have named some new faces. So we've got for the Dogs, Blake Taff, obviously as stated before, Bronson Cherry. You got obviously Drew Hutchinson there, Jamin Salmon off the bench. They've added Fa'a Mausili. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I definitely am not. You got young guns like Joash Papali'i, Kurt Morin, who we saw a little bit last year. And then one of the players I'm very excited to see, Samuel Hughes, is lining up in the front row there for the Doggies. And then over to the Storm. Not a lot of, NRL quality talent. There's a few, we've seen quite a lot of these players, to be fair, but not regularly in the NRL outside of probably Ryan Pappenhausen, Ramus Smith, Seve to a degree as well. But outside of that, pretty inexperienced side there for the Storm. I do think the Dogs get the job done here in the first trial. I am backing the Bulldogs in my first tip here. I just think they've named a better squad in general. And look, they should win this one. I would be very surprised if Storm pull this one off. But I'm backing the Doggies in that one there. All right, next game, we've got the Knights against the Sharks. Again, both sides have named relatively decent teams, the Knights being far more stronger. So the Knights spine consists of Fletcher Sharp, who's a young gun coming to the system there for the Knights, Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings in the halves. Phoenix Crossland at number 9. You've got Jack Cogger off the bench as well, who can come in and cover a number of positions around those half roles, and probably number 9 at a pinch as well. For the Sharks, they've gone with a relatively inexperienced spine. You've got Cade Dykes, Daniel Atkinson, Puru, and Jaden Beryl. So very inexperienced spine there, but they do add Cameron McInnes, who will captain this side. Whereas, the forward pack for the Knights is outstanding as well. Saifidi boys there. You've got Jed Cartwright, Dylan Lucas, Matty Croker. Pretty good forward pack. The Sharkies have a decent forward pack as well. Tommy Hazleton, Oregon Carfusi, Jesse Colquhoun, Teague Wilton, and Cameron McInnes. So not a bad forward pack there either. Look, there's a lot of players that I am excited to see. Tommy Jenkins, Mapapalangi there for the Knights. Couple of players that, as Guru would say, could be anything. Obviously, over to the Sharkies, Cade Dykes, Kale Iro, Sam Stonestreet, Daniel Atkinson, Tommy Hazleton back there again. I can't wait to see him. Billy Burns will make his Cronulla debut. Like, there's a lot of fun to be had here for this game. I think it'll be a very entertaining game. You've also got Billy Price coming from the Super League. He is off the Knights bench there, or extended bench. So, look, this one I think will be a little bit closer than the Bulldogs Storm game, but I do have the Knights winning this one. They've just got a better a more well-rounded squad, I guess you could say. The Sharkies have gone with a lot of rookies in this one. And I think the Knights do get the job done here. All right, next up, we've got the Roosters against Manly. And the Roosters have named a phenomenal squad in this one. Their spine looks like James Tedesco, Luke Keary, Sam Walker, Zach Docker, Clay. Very, very good start there. And then over to the Seagulls, they're rocking with Bailey Hodgson, Jake Arthur, Brandon Wakeham, and Carl Lawton in their spine. So definitely a big difference in the teams named. Obviously, you got Sipley and Pasaka, who are the starting front rowers for the Sea Eagles. But outside of that, not too much real NRL talent. Obviously, Ben Trbojevic is there as well for them. Yeah, I think the Roosters win this one and win it really well, to be honest. I think this will be a good win for the Roosters to start the season. A very, very good squad they've named there. A few things to touch on. Billy Smith has been named in the centres, but Joey Manu is on the reserve, so I'd say he will get some minutes there. Satili Tupanua has been named in the number 11 jersey. A lot of people thinking Siwa Wong will get that again. He has been named on the extended bench. Outside of that, for the Sea Eagles, not too much to talk on here. A few players that played in the trial last week, but Luke Brooks is out of this one. Jamie Humphries gets the number 14 jersey over Gordon Chan Kum Tong. That's what it looks like here. Now, who knows? Obviously, the trials are there to sort the men out from the boys, I guess you could say. So if Jamie Humphries doesn't kill it in this trial and Gordon Chan Kum Tong does, those positions can easily be swapped. So, Look, I think the Roosters win this and win it really well here, but it should still be an entertaining trial nonetheless. All right, next up, we've got the Eels against the Raiders. Again, this one's probably more well-rounded than the others. There's not too much hard-out NRL talent in either of these teams. Obviously, you've got players like Ryan Madison, you've got Sean Lane, and Morgan Harper, Bailey Simonsons, the players like that, they kill it. Well, we know that they're NRL quality players, but when it comes to the Raiders, they've really named quite a young side here. So they're really looking into, I guess, positional players here. Are they going to play Chevy Stewart at fullback, Xavier Savage? Chevy has got the nod in this one with Xavier on the wing, but I'd say they probably will move that around at some point. You've also got Danny Levi on the extended bench. For the Eels, they've gone fairly young at fullback. I have heard Blaze Talangi, heard good things about him. Rumours circulating that they could move Gutho into a centre spot or something to get this kid into their 17. So a lot of good raps about him. We look at the spines though. Talangi is the fullback there for the Eels. Dejan Arce, Ethan Sanders and Brendan Hands make up the rest of the spine. So pretty good spine, not going to lie. It's not bad at all. But I do think the Raiders is slightly better. You've got Chevy Stewart, K.O. Weeks, Ethan Strange and Zach Wolford there, with Tom Starling and Danny Levi making up the interchange and reserves. So this one, I definitely think will be much closer than some of the other games there. I am going to back... I think Canberra win this in a close one. So I think Canberra get the job done here. I am going to back the Raiders in on this one. I just think that both sides have a lot of good talent there. But I think the Raiders might be too good in this one. Again, it really doesn't matter. It's a trial at the end of the day. They're trialing new things. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things. But if I'm going off a tip, I'm backing the Raiders. All right, next up, we've got the Charity Shield. Now, this, in my opinion, means a lot. This is a massive game. I love the Charity Shield. It is such a great concept. And this is the 41st Charity Shield between the Rabbitohs and the Dragons. They do it every year. Everybody loves it. We all get around it. And both sides name pretty tough lineups. So, obviously, you've got some of the boys that are out injured. Campbell Graham, Cody Walker, You got Latrell Mitchell and Shaq Mitchell in the All-Stars game. Isaiah Tass and Jacob Gagai have been pulled out of it to play in this one. So we're looking at the spines. The Dragons obviously have a much better spine than the Rabbitohs, going with what you'd imagine is going to be their spine going forward. Tyrell Sloan at fullback, Kyle Flanagan, Ben Hunt in the halves with Jacob Little at dummy half. For the Rabbitohs, you've got Jacob Gagai, who I'm hearing whispers that he will get a start in round one for the Rabbitohs, so he will play fullback. The halves are Dean Hawkins, New South Wales Cup Player of the Year last year, and Lockie Ilias, with Peter Mamouzeles, who has been signed on a pretty big deal there for the Rabbitohs. So not a bad spine, but definitely not as good as the Dragons there. The forward packs, Rabbitohs have pretty much gone with the forward pack that I'm expecting them to go with this year. Tavita Totola, Sean Kepi, Keon, Jai Arrow, and Cam Murray. The Dragons also go with a fairly decent line forward pack there. Look, the Rabbitohs forward pack is 10 times better than the Dragons. Let's just call it how it is now. But I do think the Dragons back line and halves definitely are better than the Rabbitohs in this one. So it will be a very interesting game. The benches are quite similar. I do think the Rabbitohs slightly better, especially when you've got the reserves like Tallis Duncan, Michael Cheekham. I love Tommy Fletcher and Leon Tihau. I would be very surprised if Leon doesn't get a little bit of game time, especially on the wing or in the centres there. Braden Burns and Dion Tialpa have also been named there on the reserves for us. Jai Gray named in the number 14. He is an absolute weapon. Definitely next man up, in my opinion, to replace Cody Walker. If you'd asked me last year, I would have said Dion Tialpa, but I do think that Jai Gray is the next man up. So pretty good lineups for both sides, to be honest. Look, realistically, I would probably say the Dragons win this one, but I'm going to back my boys in here. I just think that we have a much more well-rounded forward pack. I think Jacob Gagai is going to absolutely kill it at fullback for the Rabbitohs as well. And wouldn't be surprised for some of these reserves to get some good minutes in this one. So I am going to back my boys here. I'm going to back the Rabbitohs in. But this Dragons side is not going to go out without a battle. They're going to fight till the end, in my opinion. And this one should be a cracking game. So I think it'll be a very tight game. But I am tipping the Rabbitohs in that one. All right, next up, we've got the Warriors against the West Tigers. Both sides have named a fairly strong team. Tane Tuapiki is the fullback there for the Warriors. Chanel Harris-Tavita, Luke Metcalf, and Freddie Lussick make up the rest of the spine. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is named in the centres, and Marcelo Montoya will captain the side. Some names that stand out for me here. Jackson Ford obviously going to have a big season there for the Warriors. You've also got Jacob Laban, who I'm hearing really good things about. Kalani Going, if you followed me for a while, you know I had massive raps on him last year. I have massive raps on Zion Mau-u. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'm going to try. So Zion, I think, will be a massive player in this game. Ali Leotau, very good centre there for them as well. So the Warriors have named a pretty strong lineup, but then you look over at the Tigers and they've pretty much gone full strength there. So Jareem Buller, Jaden Sullivan, Aiden Caesar, Api Kurosau make up the spine there. That is going to be their spine for the season, in my opinion. You've got some pretty strong centres there too. Declan Casey coming from the Doggies, and Solomona Fa'atape coming from the Melbourne Storm system, I believe. I really think that he could win their Rookie of the Year this year. I think he will be a massive in for them. Outside of that, the Tigers have named an extremely good forward pack. Utoi Kamanu, Clemmer, Papali'i, Kapoa, and Seifert. So pretty strong forward pack there, where the Warriors have gone a lot younger with their forward pack and not as experienced. Yeah, look, I think this is going to be a pretty good game here for the Tigers. They should win this one comfortably, if I'm being honest. Obviously, you know, the Warriors haven't named a weak lineup, but I do think the Tigers will come out firing in this one. Lachlan Galvin, I've heard a lot of good things about him. Yeah, I think that the Tigers will win this one, to be honest. They've got a stronger all-round team, whereas the Warriors, they've got impact players in positions definitely, but a lot more youth in that team. Definitely not as experienced as this Tigers lineup. So yeah, Tigers win this one for me. Right, we've got the second last game of the weekend, guys. The Cowboys against the Broncos. The Queensland Derby, the rivalry. We love to see it. And again, a bit like the Tigers, the Broncos have pretty well gone all out in this one. Obviously, there's a few players that won't feature in it, but we look at the Cowboys spine: Tommy Chester, Jay Clifford, Tommy Dufty, and Sean Mullaney. Definitely not a strong spine in comparison to Reece Walsh, Jock Madden, Adam Reynolds, and Billy Walters. Like, that is their spine. Outside of that, like, the Cowboys have realistically named a pretty weak squad. Thomas McKaylee gets a run in this one, though, coming from, I believe he went from the Tigers to the Titans. I could be wrong there, but I think that's how it happened for him. Jamal Shibasaki also gets a go off the bench. I believe that's Gurmat's brother, if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologise. Yeah, look, this is a very young Cowboys squad, and I'd be surprised if they put up much of a fight against a pretty well full-strength Broncos side. Deloise Hoyter and Dean Mariner get to feature in the centres and wing. We'll see Selwyn Cobbo play in the centres. Corey Oates gets a run on the wing there for the Broncos. Pierre Cora and Jaden Hunt in the second row for the Broncos. I like that. I think that's a pretty good pairing there. I really rate Jaden Hunt. I believe Jaden came from the Dragons, and I've liked what I've seen from him, so I think he will be very good in this Broncos side. And then your bench is pretty strong as well. Tyson Smoothie, Martin Tapau, Fletcher Baker coming from the Roosters there, and Kobe Hetherington, and even the reserves like Pereira, Takura, Sailor, Pakes, and Moser, all going to play a big role in the Broncos 2024 squad. Like that, they'll all get a run somewhere this season. So yeah, pretty good squad there for the Broncos. Look, I think they win this one comfortably. There should not be a world where they don't, if I'm being honest with you. So Broncos are my tip in that one. All right, the last game of the round, we've got the Dolphins against the Gold Coast Titans. Again, very strong lineup for one team, whereas the others gone very youth sort of filled there. You've got the Dolphins, their spine, Trey Fuller, outstanding young player. I've loved watching him come through reserve grade, and it's good to see him get a shot in this one, because I think he's going to absolutely kill it, and definitely put, like, I know that he's not going to take Hammer's position, but I reckon he could put Hammer on notice, to be fair. Then you've got the halves pairing of Isaiah Katoa and Sean O'Sullivan, with Jeremy Marshall King at 9. Outside of Trey Fuller, that is going to be their spine there. Tommy Gilbert returns in the number 13 jersey. Jack Bostock and Tessie New fighting for that wing spot there. The other side is pretty much locked in. Herbie Farnworth and Jermaine Asako. Tommy Flegler gets his Dolphins debut with Mark Nichols in the front row, Ewan Aiken, Felice Carfusi, and Tommy Gilbert round out their forward pack. Pretty good squad here. Like, you've also got players like Jeremiah Simbican, Ray Stone, Kennelly, Lemuelu, Lachlan Hubner, Jared Wallace, Mason Pegg, all players that I think will feature at some point in 2024 for the Dolphins. They're on their reserves. You've got Jake Averillo, Valence Stefano, Kurt Donahue, Max Plath. Pretty good team there for the Dolphins. Like, they've fielded a good squad. Whereas the Titans, they're definitely looking at youth here, looking at developing players as well, I would say. For the Titans, their spine is made up of DeGroot, Tom Stedman, Kyle Foxwell, and Vaka Sikele. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I definitely am not. Look, I won't lie, I've heard of DeGroot and I've heard of Foxwell. That's pretty much it from this spine. Like, I don't know any other ones. The players I know from here: Toby Francis, absolute gun winger; Aaron Shop, Ken Mamalo. I've heard of Ryan Foran. I've heard of Aramu Howe. Tommy Weaver, obviously, Isaac Fa'asua Malawi, Joey Stimson, who gets the captaincy off the bench there, Cleese Haas, as well. And then you got Harley Smith-Shields off the reserves, and a player that I am huge on, Yosiah Pahulu. I think if he gets his name out in this trial, he is definitely going to have a big year for the Gold Coast Titans. I do think that he gets into their 17 at some point this season. So this game, guys, I am tipping the Dolphins in it. The Titans, I don't think are gonna. They're not gonna care about the result. They couldn't. I don't think they'd care if they got beaten 40-0. Like, at the end of the day, this is just they're blooding some youth, and I like it. I think it's a good move there from the Titans. And look, if the Titans come out and upset this Dolphins side, watch out, NRL, watch out. But guys, let me know your thoughts on these teams, on the trials. Let me know who you're backing down below in the comments. I will have a video with my preview and predictions for the Maori All-Stars and the Indigenous All-Stars game. So stay tuned for that. Probably will be dropping tomorrow night. But guys, that is going to wrap it up from me. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.